Dumb Decks. Hey, what's up, nerds? Hardleg Joe here, welcoming you once again to Dumb Decks, the show where I look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Builds that are unique and interesting, but not necessarily good or fun to play. This time we're looking at my very first Patreon-requested Dumb Deck, brought to you by your boy Hobbsy, who wanted to see Armed Dragon Catapult Cannon Turbo. Do you actually like Ojamas? Do you find my yearly attempts at making them work on What a Deck to be a fun and casual distraction from the madness of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, imagine that, but way more linear, far more fragile, and with 6 garnets. That is Armed Dragon Catapult Cannon Turbo. If you're unfamiliar with the titular card, it's an admittedly awesome boss monster. It's got 3,500 attack, a continuous effect that says your opponent can't activate cards or effects with the same name as any banished card, and once per turn during your opponent's turn, it allows you to banish one card from your deck or extra deck to banish all cards your opponent controls and in their graveyard. There are very few monsters in this game that can win duels all on their own, but this is one of them. The only problem is its absolutely ridiculous summoning conditions. In order to make this thing, you must banish properly summoned copies of both VWXYZ Dragon Catapult Cannon and Armed Dragon LV7 from your field and or graveyard. How do you properly summon those cards? Well, Armed Dragon LV7 is a level 7 monster that can only be special summoned by the effect of Armed Dragon level 5, which only activates at the end phase of a turn it destroyed a monster by battle. Alternatively, you can use Level Up, a spell that allows you to bypass the battle requirement and turn a face-up LV5 into an LV7. That's the easy part. VWXYZ Dragon Catapult Cannon is a fusion monster that can only be summoned by banishing a XYZ Dragon Cannon and a VW Tiger Catapult from your field. Those two cards are also fusion monsters, which require you to have specific monsters on the field to summon them. VW Tiger Catapult requires V Tiger Jet and W Wing Catapult, while XYZ Dragon Cannon requires X Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, and Z Metal Tank. So, in order to summon our big boss monster, you need to first summon a link monster with 2 or more arrows, then summon these 5 machine monsters, turn them into 2 fusion monsters, fuse these 2 monsters into a bigger fusion monster, then summon Armed Dragon level 5 and either destroy a monster by battle and wait until next turn, or activate Level Up on it to turn it into Armed Dragon LV7, then assuming that both this and VWXYZ are still on your field or in the graveyard, you can fusion summon Armed Dragon Catapult Cannon. Now, this may seem impossible, and it almost is, but it is doable in one turn, using Ojamas, if you have a very specific 6-card combo. Those cards are Ojama Red, 2 copies of Ojama Simulation, Oja Match, Oja Magic, and Level Up. You can see these are all cards we play at 3, because you need to get them. First, use Oja Match. This will let you discard Oja Magic to add Armed Dragon LV5 from your deck to your hand, as well as one Ojama of your choice. I usually pick blue, you will need both. Discarding Oja Magic will let you get 1 copy each of Ojama Green, Yellow, and Black. Normal summon Ojama Red, who will let you summon those 3 Ojamas from your hand. Use the 4 Ojamas you just summoned to make Skuldred. This will let you draw 4 and put 3 to the bottom of your deck. Once you've done that, use your first Ojama Simulation. This will let you banish Ojama Green, Yellow, and Black from your grave to summon X, Y, and Z from your deck. Obviously, use these to make XYZ Dragon Cannon. Then activate your second Ojama Simulation, this time banishing Ojama Red and whatever other bonus Ojama you got from Oja Match, in order to summon V and W to make VW Tiger Catapult. Banish both your fusions to make VWXYZ Dragon Catapult Cannon. Finally, use Skuldred's effect to summon Armed Dragon LV5 from your hand, and then play Level Up to make it into Armed Dragon LV7. Send both to the graveyard, and there you have your big boss monster with a tiny attack boost and 2 bonus cards in your hand, one from Skuldred and the other one from Ojama Simulation, which has a graveyard effect that allows you to summon 3 banished Ojamas into the deck and draw a card. Hoo boy! Alright, so there's your main combo. Almost everything else in here is just there to get you to that combo. Ojama Blue lets you search 2 Ojama cards when it's destroyed by battle. Rescue Cat lets you summon 2 Ojama Blues from the deck, so if your opponent has monsters for you to ram both of these into, it could potentially search you 4 of the 6 cards you need. Ojama Duo in the grave lets you summon 1 Ojama Blue from the deck alongside any other Ojama, and Ojama Pajama lets you search any Ojama card and then discard a card, which is a great way to get Duo in the graveyard or trigger Oja magic. Our only tech slot is 2 copies of Nibiru to hopefully stall our opponent long enough to get our combo. If you're building this yourself, you could try to get the deck more consistent by removing these in favor of other copies of your Ojama traps. Alternatively, you can remove the traps entirely and try to get this deck more survivability by adding in more generic disruption and protection. You can also go super risky and just play 1 copy of each of the vanilla Ojamas, but that turns them all into Garnet since you can't activate Oja magic unless all 3 are in the deck. So drawing 1 screws over your entire combo. Regardless of how you twist it though, I don't think there's much you could do to make this deck viable outside of extremely casual situations. Usually around this time, I show off a replay to highlight how the deck plays and just what makes it a dumb deck. But do I really need to this time? Isn't it obvious just looking at it? Well, I guess just to hammer home the point, let's go ahead and show it anyway, just so you can see what this monstrosity looks like in action. As you can see, I'm up against a Guardian deck, which you may recognize as being one of the weakest archetypes from Rank 10's Legacy of the Worthless series. Even then, it manages to get in 3,000 points of damage because I open with literally 1 piece of my 6-card combo. I activate Ojama Duo in my opponent's end phase, giving them free tokens just so I can hopefully use the Grave effect on my turn, but then I top deck Rescue Cat instead, which allows me to get started in exchange for taking 2,500 life points. I get the first 2 parts of my combo, but I literally won't survive crashing another Ojama Blue, so I just have to make do from here in main phase 2. I managed to get the Skull Dread, who allows me to draw into 1 Ojama Simulation, and get out Arm Dragon level 7, who can at least clear some of the field with its effect. Then I'm going to use Ojama Simulation, and after making XYZ, I'm going to use Ojama Duo in the graveyard just to try and deck thin, because my only draw at this point is the Grave effect of Ojama Simulation, which I'm hoping will draw me into another copy of itself. Of course, I draw another Ojama. Fortunately, I have 4 monsters on the field aside from XYZ, so I can just make another Skull Dread, who this time manages to draw into the second Ojama Simulation I made. I make VW and XYZ, use it to clear the field because it has a decent effect to discard, to destroy, it isn't once per turn, and then I make the big boy. And from here, it's pretty much over, unless he draws into like a Kaiju or like a Raigeki that can clear the field. He's pretty much done for. You notice when I use this effect, I banish Shiranui Sword Saga for cost, who, as far as I can tell, is the only extra deck monster that gets an effect when it's banished straight out of the extra deck. All it does is summon a 0/0 token, but it's better than nothing, I guess. It's the only real tech that I've added to this deck that needs a whole bunch of required cards and a whole bunch of garnets. So, yeah, it works. It could get the job done in an actual duel with an actual person in just 1 or 2 turns of setup. Just, you know, as long as your opponent has absolutely 0 disruption of any kind. You need to do pretty much everything for this deck to work. You need to draw, you need to search a few times, use the graveyard, activate numerous monster effects, several spells, and special summon way more than 5 times. So if your opponent has any hand trap, any quick effect, or just any regular trap that can interrupt or disrupt your plays in any way, you're just done for. That being said, Ojamas are still a pretty decent Link deck in general, and both Arm Dragon and XYZ are pretty nice monsters in their own right, so just because you fail to make the biggest Chungus doesn't mean that you auto-lose. Although, at the same time, that kinda makes this deck even worse in a way. Because usually if you could do everything it takes to make ADCC, you already had game. You had game long before then. Like, if you already have Skull Dread, and LV7, and XYZ, you've already got more than 8,000 points of damage on board, and ways to remove multiple cards from the field. Unless you somehow have no cards in your hand, or your opponent's field is immune to destruction, there's no real logical reason to make Arm Dragon Catapult Cannon. This really is the epitome of a dumb deck. It is not smart to play a deck like this, because the same cards can be put to so much better use. That being said, if you just want to flex, if you want to be one of the handful of people who actually put in the effort to summon one of Yu-Gi-Oh's craziest, most zany monsters, well, here you go. This is the deck for you. Also, it's worth mentioning, if you want to take out the Armed Dragon stuff, you can replace it with ABC Buster Dragon stuff, which is a lot more powerful, and use this core to make the similarly crazy A to Z Dragon Buster Cannon. It's slightly weaker than Armed Dragon Catapult Cannon, but it's also slightly easier to summon, and you have the backup of being an ABC deck. And regardless, though, I think that's about it for this episode of Dumb Decks. I hope you like hearing about this silly little thing. Thanks again to Hobbsy for requesting this. If you'd like to request a deck of your own, or just want to show your support for the channel, check out my Patreon. It's linked in the description. It'll be on the end card. And if you don't want to support, that's fine too. Just remember to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more goofy Yu-Gi-Oh content. Anyway, until next time, good luck, and have fun. I said hey.